Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Multiples are times tables, so the multiples of 2 are the times table of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc, etc. So the only number in this list that is in the 2 times table is the 6. If we put this in a place value grid, and so we've got thousands, hundreds, tens and units. We've got 9, 0, 8, 8. So it's 9,000 because it's 9 lots of thousands, and 8 tens, so it would be 80, and we've got 8 units, so 8. To find the factors of 30, we're just going to write down all the factor pairs, or all the pairs of numbers that multiply together to make 30. So 1 times 30 is 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10. Now 4 doesn't go because 30 is not in the 4 times table. 5 times 6, and we notice that if we pick 6, it's just going to be 6 times 5, it's just going to be the opposite. So the factors are all the numbers that we've just written down, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15 and 30. So for this question we need to convert the percentage to a decimal. So to do that we get that 8.9%. and we just divide by 100, and so that will give us 0.089, and so we get that 0.089 of normally means times in maths, so we just go times that by 457, and that will give us 40.67. In this question we're given 13 lots of x and we're adding 7 lots of x to it. So if we have 13 lots of x and we're adding 7 lots of x, we're going to have 20 lots of x, or 20x. We're going to start off with a dot at minus 13. And it says that x can be greater than minus 13. And greater is to the right of that. And it goes on forever, so we just put a little arrow saying it goes on forever. Last thing we do is check to see whether it's hollow or a filled in dot. Well, this cannot be equal to minus 13, so it remains a hollow dot. The first piece of information I'm going to focus on is the fact Denver gets 8/19. Denver gets 8/19, that means that Engel and Fido together must get 11/19 because they have to add up to 1. So we're only looking at 11/19. I'm going to focus on the ratio next of Engel to Fido. So it's 9 to 5, and let's have a look and see, well, first of all, how many parts there are all together. So 9 plus 5, which is 14 parts. So there are 14 parts in total, and the share that they get is 11/19. So what I'm going to do is to find out what fraction one of those parts is worth by dividing 11/19 by 14. So each part is worth, and I'm just going to keep this into my calculator, 0.041 blah blah blah. And we're asked to find Fido's share. Well, Fido has 5 parts. So Fido has 5 parts, each of them worth 0.041 blah blah blah. I've kept it in my calculator to keep the accuracy. And when I do that, I get 0.206 blah blah blah. Now we're asked to work it out as a percent, so I'm just going to times that by 100. So we have 20.676 blah 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 percent, and it wants it rounded to the nearest percent. So that would be 20%. Or actually, it would be 21%, because this would round it up. So 21%. So with a stem leaf diagram, the numbers in the middle often represent tens. They could be units. So we look at the key first of all, and we see that 3 line 9 means 93. So the numbers in the middle are going to represent 10. So this is a 90. Now we're looking for English, so this will be 92. So our first number will be 92. Then this will be 10 tens and a 4. So it would be 104. 11 tens and 1. So 111, and then 11 tens and 2. So to find the median, we go cross out the biggest and smallest until we're left with 1 or 2 in the middle. Here we're left with 2. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add the 104 to the 111, and we're just going to divide that by 2. So when we do that, we get 107.5 or 0.5. So our answer is 107.5. So trying to describe the single transformation, it kind of looks like it could be a rotation, and it would be a rotation of 180 degrees. But if it was a rotation, it would be actually this way around. And so it's not a rotation. It looks to me like it's a reflection, which it is. Now we've got to find out where we put our mirror line. And our mirror line for this would be a horizontal line. So if I just guess and I put it down here, notice that B is only 1 jump away from that, and yet A is 1, 2, 3 jumps away from that. So that's not very good. That's not the halfway point. So we need this to be the halfway between the two shapes, which is going to be here. And the name of that line, well, everywhere along that line, y is equal to -1. So we call it the y equals -1 line. So it's going to be a reflection across line y equals -1. To work out the circumference, we need the diameter, and the diameter is just the full distance across a circle. So to work out what the diameter is, we're just going to get that radius and times it by 2, which will give us 30 centimeters. The formula for the circumference is just pi times the diameter, and that's going to be pi times 30. And when you do that on the calculator, you get 94.247 blah blah blah. And when you round that, you will get 94.25. We rounded to 2 decimal places because that's what the question asked us to. So we can see that the first 4 of these have already been plotted. Now it's really important that you you do the coordinate the right way around. So the first one is number and then algebra. So we're looking at this coordinate here. We're 18 on number, which would be here, and then 14 on algebra, which would be this point here. 12 on both, so 12 and 12 would be here, and then 21 and 17. So 21 and 17 would be roughly there. The experimental probability is the successful outcomes divided by the total number of outcomes. So we're looking for the probability that it's white, so it's going to be 25 over, and we're just going to do 35 plus 25 plus 31, which is 91, and that's our probability, 25 over 91. Be careful when it say total, you must include all of the outcomes, so red, white, and other. So when you look at this graph, it looks like it's going down as well as up. So it goes down to start off with, and then it starts going up, but then it starts going down again. And when you're looking at trends, you're looking, generally speaking, what's happening with it. So if you kind of draw a line to represent roughly where the graph is going, that line is going to go up. So the general view on it, the general trend, is that it is increasing. So you can write general increase in emissions. So we're looking for angle DEC, which is this one here, but we can't go directly there. We've got to kind of work our way towards it. And the first thing I'm going to look at is these set of parallel lines here. And we've got a line going through these parallel lines, which is this line. If I try and do it without removing it, this line here. And so therefore this angle here and this angle are going to be corresponding. So this is going to be 69 degrees. So I need to write that down properly. So angle CDE equals 69 degrees because of corresponding angles. Okay. So if I know that the CDE is 69, I also will know that this angle here is 69 because they're the bottom two angles in a triangle. Now, when I say that, I mean when an isosceles triangle is the right way up, the bottom two angles are equal. So they're the bottom two angles in an isosceles, although the isosceles is on its side here. And we need to write that down, so it would be angle DCE equals 69 degrees. And this time it's because it's an isosceles triangle. And finally, we can work out what CED is by taking those away from 180. So angle CED, or actually I should keep it as it says in the question, DEC, is equal to 180, take away the 69 plus 69. And the reason for that is angles in a triangle equal 180 degrees. And when you do that, you get the answer of 42 degrees. So the answer is 42 degrees. A frequency polygon is like a line graph. In fact, it's a type of line graph. But it is when you have the data in a group. So we've got the data here as a group of 0 to 80. So there are 11 at 0 to 80. And then 18 at 80 to 160. And 6 at 160 to 240. Now, where am I going to plot this? It will involve putting a cross somewhere on this graph. And it would seem unfair if I put it all at 0, and it would also seem unfair if I put it all at 80. So what we do is we find the midpoint, the halfway point between 0 and 80, which is obviously 40, and we plot our coordinate there. So it seems to be going up in 2s, so it would be there. So that's at 40, 11, the coordinate. Our next one, we plot at the midpoint again, which would be 120, and it's just halfway between 80 and 160, and it's 18 high, so it would be up here. And then the final one is at 200, and it will be 6 high, so 200 is halfway, and we're looking at 6 high, so it will be here. Then when you're done, you need to join them up with straight lines. So I'm just going to get my ruler, join them up. Perfectly straight lines, and there we are. We can't work out what x is straight away, but we can find this value here. And we know with Pythagoras we can find a third length if we've got other two in a right angle triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a and b were labelled. C is always opposite the right angle, so it'd be 49 squared plus b squared equals 68 squared, and 49 squared is 2,401, and 68 squared is 4,624. So we are solving here, so let's get our lines down. And we're going to start by subtracting the 2,401 from both sides. So we've got b squared equals 2,223. Then we're going to square root both sides, and we've got b equal to 47.148, blah blah blah. Okay, we're now looking at the second diagram, and this time we're going to have a, we've got our b, and we're going to call x the c. So it'd be a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but this time a is 39. B we are given as 47.148. We've just worked that out. And we're looking for c. In fact, we can call it x now. Okay, so we need to square that. So we do 39 squared plus 47.148 squared, and that will be 3,744 equal to x squared. And we'll just get our lines in because we need to square root both sides, and we get 61.188 blah 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 is equal to x. It says it wants its two decimal places, so that will be 61.19. So factorise means to put it into a bracket, and it looks like it's a quadratic here. But it's actually just a linear factorising because we don't have a number term. So we're going to just use one bracket for this. And looking at these terms, I'm going to focus first on the numbers. So 20 and 30, I can divide both of those by 10. And that will leave 2 and 3. So that's the numbers done. Next I'm looking at the t terms. So we've got t squared there and a t there. So we can divide out a t, but that will leave a t on the first term. And finally I'm going to look at the u, and there's just a u on both of them I can factorise out, and actually that just leaves nothing on the inside of the bracket. Now always when you do this, expand the bracket to check if you've made any mistakes. So I'm going to do smiles and rainbows. There's loads of different methods. So 10 times 2 is 20, t times t is t squared, and then the u, plus 10 times 3 is 30, times t times u. So we know we've got the right answer. So our answer is 10tu brackets 2t plus 3. When it's said that y is inversely proportional to x, it means that y changes as 1 over x changes. And to write this in an equation, all we do is we just write y equals k over x. Now k is something we need to find. So what we need to do is find out what a value of y and a value of x are somewhere on the graph that would be formed from this, and we've got that in this question. So we know that when y is 7, then x is going to be 7.9. And what I need to do now is just draw my lines down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just times both sides by 7.9. And so we have k equals, and it'd be 7 times 7.9, which is 55.3. So we know that k is 55.3. So I'm just going to rewrite this equation here, or this formula here, but instead of k, I know that it's going to be 55.3. So our answer is y equals 55.3 over x. So we're going to first of all look at the starting section. So we've got the probability of a blue being picked from bag 1 is 7 over 11. So the probability for blue and red must equal 1. So what do we add to 7 to get to 11? Well, we add 4, and so it would be 4 over 11. So these two here must add up to 11 over 11, which is 1. Looking at the next section, we've got 11 over 15 chance of picking a blue. So what's the probability of picking a red? Again, 11 over 15 plus the probability of a red must equal 1. So that's going to be 4 over 15. 4 over 15 plus 11 over 15 is 1. And we've got the final section down here. Now, this final section, we haven't got any fractions for, but bag 2 is independent to bag 1. So bag 2 is just sitting there ready to be picked after we pick bag 1. So the probability is going to be exactly the same as the ones at the top. So I'm just going to write this question out just a bit bigger so we can see it a bit better. Okay, so we've got numbers and we've got letters. Let's focus on the numbers first. We've got 77 over 11. So 77 divided by 11 is just 7. So the answer will just be 7 with the numbers. And here we've got x to the power of 11 divided by x to the power of 6. When you divide powers of the same base, and they're both x, you take them away. So you do 11 take away 6, which is 5. So the first thing I notice is the second equation isn't really in the normal format for doing simultaneous equations. So I'm just going to rearrange it so that we have it where we want it to be. And I'm just going to put my lines in so I can rearrange. So the first thing I want is the x's and y's on the same side. In fact, actually all I need to do is take away 4y from both sides, and we get 5x minus 4y equals minus 7. Okay, so what we do now is we put both our equations down so we can solve these simultaneously. So 5x minus 4y equals minus 7. And you notice the coefficient of the y is already the same, so we don't need to multiply anything. But the signs are different, and the d in different is the d in add. So we're going to add going downwards. So we're going to add everything. So we're doing 3x plus 5x, which is 8x. 4y plus minus 4y is nothing, which is good, because we want to get rid of that. And 47 take away 7 is 40. All right. Let's put our solving lines in, and we're going to divide by 8 both sides. So we get x equals 5, and we're going to substitute that value into one of the equations. I'm going to pick this top one. So instead of 3x, we're doing 3 times 5 plus 4y equals 47. Get my solving lines in. So that will be 15 plus 4y equals 47, and then we're going to take away the 15 both sides, and so it's 4y equals 47 take away 15, which is 32. Divide by 4 both sides, and we get y equals 8. Now we can check that using this equation here. So 5 times 5 is 25, take away 4 times 8, which is 32, is minus 7. So we know we've got it right. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.